Hello there, everyone. Patricia Hayes here. How are you doing today? Welcome to today's edition of Coffee Time Career Chat, the authentic networking version. Super excited to be here with you all again today to finish out our series where we have been talking about teen professional relationship development. And I said earlier on that I started down this pathway based on the number of requests that I get to come help organizations, groups, to get some part of their organization, a particular team on board with utilizing their relationships in a new and different way, or maybe developing them, and they're not confident about doing that. So I decided to spend this entire month talking about that, what it looks like to build your team's confidence as far as relationship development, particularly in order to benefit the organization as well as themselves personally, how to connect those dots. And today we're going to talk about building relationships for the future. So if this is your first time joining us, my name is Patricia Hayes. I'm an executive advisor, empowerment coach, and authentic networking strategist. And my focus is specifically on helping executives, professionals, entrepreneurs, and their teams to build out their executive presence so that can uplevel their careers while also building long-term sustainable relationships, professional relationships that will serve them for years and years to come in a very authentic manner. So here we go with this week's topic of building relationships for the future. So the first thing that I would recommend, particularly if you're the team lead, division lead, or whatever, is that you identify the forward-thinking person on the team. Now, why are you going to do that? It's the obvious. Because this is the go-getter. This is the person who's willing to explore new things, talk to new people, all of that. You have to have that person who can be the catalyst for others, because there are going to be other people who are not jumping right into doing this, who are kind of still skeptical about what it is they do. Now, but you have to position it carefully, right? So that it's not looking like this person is being a kiss up, but rather that you're appointing them to be a leader for the team in this particular endeavor, so that they can be the one to say, hey, are you willing to step up and, show others how to engage in this, or to keep things going yourself, so that as we need to explore new opportunities, talk to new types of people, you know that you have someone on that team who you can rely on to do it while you're building out the skill set and the confidence of the others. So it's super important to identify that person. If it's a couple of people, that's even better. You divvy up the goals and the responsibilities. And so that, again, you can create that funnel that will help you for the long term and that team. Okay. And so that the idea is that they will be out there in the marketplace representing you in the way that you need and want, creating that visibility that you need and want as you move forward. Those types of people are always great because it's, again, about the authenticity of it, and they're naturally probably going to be that. Now, here's the thing. There are going to be some go-getters who don't, exude all of that, but maybe they're more reserved, maybe they're quieter, but they also have that ability to connect with people. I call these the sleepers, because these are fantastic people, because they can slide into situations, rooms. They will talk. They're probably the kind of person that people who, will talk to them out of the blue, like strangers will divulge their secrets to, right? These are wonderful people to identify as well. So don't just go for the obvious go-getter. Think about that sleeper in your group who's very well-spoken, who engages, who's probably very thoughtful, and, it's more reserved and quiet, but they are able to move in and out of situations and organizations and things like that very smoothly. So think about that. You got your go-getter or your sleeper. Make sure and identify who that is that will be able to continue doing this work for you on this team, that can serve as a leader within the team on this effort of continuing to build out the professional relationships that you all need for the organization. The second thing is you want to make sure to provide a clear pathway for growth. The quickest way to nullify all of the work that you've done thus far is to just stop it cold. It's just like, okay, this is great. You got what you need. All right, let's go, and done. Like, don't do anything else. That is a huge mistake. Investing in your team's professional development is crucial. Hosting or providing access for them to activities, to networking activities, will help to bolster their confidence and to continue to give them those opportunities that may or may not have existed before, especially coming off of the pandemic, right? So you will have to help make these things happen. So whether it is an, socially distanced in-person activity where you're hosting once a month for the team to get together and inviting in other folks from another part of the industry or another part of the company. I don't know what that might be. Or maybe there is a client who regularly hosts certain events and you hadn't been sending any members of the team to it. You've been doing it all yourself. How about this is the opportunity to start infusing some of these other people into the pipeline so that you can maximize your presence and you aren't the one having to go to all of the things. But your people will not be ready if you don't provide them with the opportunities that they need in order to gain that confidence, to build their presence, and to grow. And so that professional development long term may include, additional specific training on building out professional relationships and networking. It may include public speaking training. It may include communications training. There's a whole host of things that can be built out and built into your program just for the entire year. I was trying to say year and beyond, to help your people. But the idea is to make sure that you provide it, that you give them access to it so that they can grow. And you can also build in incentives for these things so that people will become more willing and to get that skill, because ultimately it's not just good for your company or your organization. It's good for them professionally. Right? If they can build out this skill of working through and developing new relationships on professional basis, man, they just don't even know yet how powerful that is and how useful that skill is to them individually, as well as to the organization. So think about that. Number 3, you have to know who you want to meet next. This is very important, and this is strategic thinking engaged here, because otherwise you can get to this point and you've got momentum, think people may be excited or at least more willing, and then you don't it's just like, okay, done. Like, what are you doing next, right? We've talked about who we're meeting with right now and all of that, but who do you want to meet next? Who do you want to engage with next? Where are you headed as an organization so that you can funnel your team and your people in order to meet them at that point when the time is appropriate? All right. This is super important. So I know for me and personally, there's a lot going on with my business that I'm building out, creating things like that. And I keep a list of those people or those groups or those types of industries that I know that I need to connect with. So I know that, hello, I'm a lawyer. I really need to lean into that market more in terms of executive coaching and professional development when it comes to this. Seems obvious, right? Well, what's the other, another source is law schools with new graduates coming straight out who need to be able to make these connections and may not know how. And guess what? I've done it before. I've spoken to law school students. So it's one of those things I need to go back to, and I need to figure out where that fits in the funnel of connecting with people, as well as authors, right? I have an interest in writing a book. I'm in the process of doing all of that. Okay, what are some more people? Who are the types of people that I may need to connect with so that I can learn more and see how that fits into my business model? So there are all of these things that can happen. It doesn't have to be like crazy and wild, but it's just that simple identification of, you know what, we probably need to start thinking about talking to X type of people some more. So I need to make sure that the team is going to, these types of professional development conferences, seminars, workshops, so that they can start to ease into that space. That's what I'm talking about when I'm saying know who you want to meet next. Have a plan. Because if you just wait for it and then like, oh yeah, we probably need to be talking to them, and then you go do it, it's not thoughtful, it's random, and it won't be consistent outcomes that you won't have consistent outcomes. So take the time as the team lead, as the division lead, whatever your role is. And if you're an individual, have that thought. I'm like, I wonder what we need to do next. Go ask your supervisor, go ask your manager, go ask your team lead. Who do we need to be reaching out to next in order to move things forward? In order for us to grow as an organization, in order for me to grow as an individual, all right? When you start thinking like that, that's getting very strategic and deliberate about what it is you're doing with your professional relationship building, and that is going to be gold. Trust me on that, okay? That's number 3. Number 4 is rinse and repeat. Consistency is the key here. When you get on the right track, you've identified who your team members are that are really going to be able to zone in, make the connections and relationships that you need on a regular basis. You're providing that professional development to the team as a whole so that everyone can up-level their skill sets. You've identified who you want to know and meet next. And then all of that goodness that we've talked about before with building out your professional confidence of the team, with connecting the team with the mission and the values of the organization and why it's relevant to what it is that they do on a daily basis, and connecting those dots, you have to keep going. The worst thing is when you treat it like this report, it's done, and you put it on the shelf. That is the kiss of death, right? Because you will have invested a lot of time, a lot of energy of not just yourself, but all of your team members, only to have it sit and to not grow. You must water it. You must keep moving it forward. You must help the momentum continue. And it doesn't have to be 1,000 things at once. I tell people all the time that my number 1 tip for starting to reach out, if you have no idea and you're really uncertain and you really haven't been very thoughtful or strategic in your networking activities previously, is set a goal of reaching out to 3 to 5 new people every week. That's it. 3 to 5. Phone calls, email, text if it's appropriate, messaging services, with, like LinkedIn or social, whatever. All of those things, 3 to 5 people. And why do I say that? I say that because if you reach out to 3 people one week, you're like, oh, well, that was easy. And then you do it again, and then again, then you get some momentum going. But if I told you that you needed to reach out to 200 people in the next 12 months, most people would completely freak out and blank out. They were like, I can't do that. What are you talking about? However, do you realize that if you reach out to 3 to 5 people per week and keep it on that thought pattern, that you will reach that 200 number easily within 12 months without even thinking about it, because it's built in. It's the rinse and repeat. It's the consistency of the effort, and to just keep going at it one chunk at a time. This is not the time to overwhelm people with saying, okay, y'all got that. Okay, now we're going to go do 5,000 things. No. Divide those 5,000 things, divide it by 12 or whatever, or divide it by 52 for weekly, not even monthly. Divide it by 52 for weekly and set a pattern, set goals. This is going to be important for setting those goals. Just like you set metrics for how many calls or how many outreach efforts they're making, all of these things, set metrics, set goals for your people for their relationship building. All right. Make it a part of the expectation for them when it comes to their reviews. Now, I'm not saying, it's like, oh, well, you didn't meet X number. No, but like what efforts? If they're showing that they're going to activities, that they're going to seminars or workshops or conferences and bringing information back, all of that. We waste so much time and money sending people to conferences and workshops, and they do not report back. They do not say how that it's helpful to the team. They do not say how it's impactful. It's just like, well, I got that for me and that's it. If you're paying for it, you need to make sure that you know how it's working for you as the organization. So up level those expectations just a tad. I was notorious for going to things and making sure that they knew, that my bosses knew, whether I was a baby attorney all the way to when I was in a C-suite position. So if I was going to attend something, here's what you're going to need to know. Oh, FYI, I met so-and-so at that event and I talked about X, right? Always keeping it top of mind that I know that I was going, and yes, there was a lot for me to gain personally, but here's what I'm bringing back to the team, to the organization as something of value as a result of those connections and those relationships that I'm building out. Okay? All right, that's it. So real quick review. Building relationships for the future. We want to make sure to identify the forward-thinking person on the team, whether it's a go-getter or a sleeper. Make sure you tune into that person or those persons and leverage them to help lead the team in terms of the relationship building. Provide a clear pathway for growth. Invest in people's professional development, host activities that will help to up level that skill set. Number 3, know who you want to meet next. Plan, engage in a little bit of strategy so that you can be one step ahead and know where to direct your people. And lastly, rinse and repeat. The consistency is so important when it comes to this. That is it. So thank you so much for joining today. Hey, guess what? We are going to have lots of great things coming down the pike. First of which is the Building Profitable Relationships Networking Masterclass, which if you haven't registered, you can still register. It is going to be Tuesday, June 1st, 11:30 a.m. Central Time. So I invite you to come register for that. That is free. And meanwhile, we are also working through Diversifying Your Network Masterclass for late June, I believe, pulling that together. That is going to be a workshop series that's going to span over a couple of days. There will be a fee for that one. And it's going to be real important because it's going to help you look at things from a different perspective and what your networks actually look like and what you need to do to make them look differently so that they can be beneficial to you for a very long time in today's global workplace. I mean, that's basically what we are. And as well as some new or updated programs and activities as well. So as always, if you have any questions or you want to schedule some time to consult to talk about these things and what it might look like one-on-one, do not hesitate to reach out to me, hit me up in the DMs or email me, and I will be happy to schedule time to chat. All right, take care and have a fantastic rest of your week. Bye-bye.